Alright, so looking at Ozerly here. I think that's how it's pronounced. Ozorly. They were wondering, they deranked from Plat 4 to Silver 4, and was kind of wondering what was going on from the look of it. Lost a ton of games earlier in February. My stats aren't worse or better. I'm getting the same kills as my DPS and getting the most healing in the lobby. Always feel trapped with bad randoms, and winning really feels impossible. Um, Wants to know any tips or any reasoning as to why they're not climbing out. This one's interesting too because you had said in the last comment when you replied to me that you had been duoing. Uh, One sec here. You said you duoed, right? Or trioed? I get lots of solo kills. Some games with another. Oh, I started in bronze and climbed to plat last season, and during this one, but just got on a horrible loss streak while dueling and three stacking with friends. So I'm actually like I had given you some reasons as to why you might be, you know, you might be like have been falling, but there's also now the chance with this last comment that maybe it was just like your friends might be the reason that you came down. So we'll watch this and we'll see what tips we can give, just general gameplay and whatnot. This will be interesting to see. All right. So I think this, for the most part, is pretty good, right? Like, you come in, aside from maybe your first healing ball might not have been you've been thrown. Um, a lot of this is, I mean, it's pretty simple, right? The tracer doesn't really push you because you were doing a good job, like turning around looking for the tracer, right? Because that would be your job. Like, you're really good at dealing with tracer. I mean, actually, technically, Brig should probably be, but she wasn't really paying attention to it. Um, the first real thing is here, like, right? You're spraying. Like, everybody's pretty good right here, right? Like your Genji's missing a little bit of health. This would be a great time that your team is pushing forward to throw a damage orb at the enemy team, right? Or to try to help kill. I mean, this Kiriko's pretty much dead no matter what, right? But it's like their tank is gone, so it's just pretty much clean up here. Just do a lot of damage, try to stagger as many of their squishies as possible. Like you don't really need to throw this healing orb for any reason, right? Your Genji's fine. He was only missing a little bit of health. Um, It's pretty okay. It's okay. Like the only thing is that like the other person said, like in a situation like this where you don't really need to heal people up to full health, right? Don't like use too much of your healing because it does like I think 75 HP after you stop. So in a situation like this, right, where like your Rhine's not in danger of taking any damage here, right? Like their team's retreating, it's just their two supports here. Your goal should be to like you can heal him, but then also like try to chase these two down because they're retreating and your Brig is here. Try and help stagger them. I mean, like this would be even okay to like fade here. Aside from your Genji had like ping they needed healing, but like again he's not in any immediate danger. Like so you could just spray both of these guys and then fade over here and like try to help stagger their supports, right? And then like throw a damage orb maybe after them or something and like chase them with your Brig. But like yeah, when you're like when someone's critical, it's always good to like it's good to obviously throw your healing orb if you have it, but if you don't, yeah, just keep on constantly using your primary healing on them. But otherwise, you run through your meter like really quickly if you just hold it on people. While if you let go of it, like you burst someone, it'll continue healing for another 75 health after you stop, and then like you can go back and like burst damage. So like Moira, because she has like just raw damage and raw healing output, she's somebody that's like you don't have to just always like hold on. But she's also someone that I normally start healing with quicker because like she can just heal over time. So I just go and like do a little bit onto someone and use just a tiny bit of your bar while still heal an extra 75 health after that. So unless they're like critical and like needing a lot of health, then like try to save as much of your bar, especially now that you've won the team fight. There's no need to like you don't want the team to come back and then like you're still recharging your bar, right? You want it to be like full because now you're just you see how much you go from up here and then you get it like all the way down here, right? So this, you know, you use probably like a quarter or a third of your bar there when you could have just like tapped a little bit and then had your bar start regenning already. Your team's moving forward, so yeah, you should be moving forward with them. It's not really up to your brig, but yeah, it definitely. I mean, this is not right. Like this is not where your brig should be positioned, right? She should not be like this far out in front of your tank. Like chasing the supports, sure, but like chasing the supports all the way over here, no. Like you should be stopping. Like if you can't stagger them by like right here, you shouldn't be going after them unless like you're helping your tank, like keeping your tank up, making sure that your tank stays alive. Like this would be about like the point where you give up and say, okay, they got away, like whatever it is, what it is, right? Don't like put yourself in a position where you can get staggered like this brig, which I think you do good like staying here, but you could have, if you were up here, you might be able to heal this brig beforehand, right? Or just, I don't know where you used biotic orb. Yeah, actually, you did do good using this. You shouldn't have expected her, yeah, to just step out randomly while at crit health. She dashes in while at crit health. That's crazy. Yeah, there's okay. That's not your fault. Then that's just is what it is, right? And see, but now that like your team is engaging, right? Like your heal bar is all the way down here because you've just been like when there is nothing going on, you've just been spraying your spray everywhere and not letting the passive healing kick in. You're just holding it on people, and that's why. So now that the fight is starting, you only have this much, and that's not good amount to start with. And even this, like your Ryan's missing what, like 100 health? Is it? Is it 25 per? He has 490. Yeah, so a little over 100 health, like 130. So just be like all you need to do is just tap a little bit onto him, right? And then start right clicking, like just holding damage on the ball, right? Once your healing stops on him, then you can start doing the healing again because he's not really in any danger of dying, right? Like his like the ball is the only person here shooting at him. Well, and the tracer. So that's another option here. If you see this tracer, then you can actually like walk over here, start shooting the tracer, so the tracer isn't like, you know, try to push him off of your Rhine, right? So you can heal. That's where Moira comes in. Is she's a lot like you heal, you damage, you heal, you damage, you heal, you damage, and just kind of like Baptiste, where like you know just have to be able to switch between the two. But yeah, so now you're completely out, and now yeah you have to deal damage, which is good, right? You do dealing damage, all right? Same thing. You're healing, all right? He's healed. This is good. This is good following him right through your orb. Good. Now you guys just kind of want to get out. Yep, just throw some healing at him. And now you kind of want to, yeah, poke a little bit, get your healing back up. Yeah, your team kind of needs to pick a side or back up. So they're finally backing up here. Yeah, at this point you've already lost your fight. Good job holding your ultimate, by the way, because I mean your team was already dead. Um, yeah, this was kind of an awkward one to play. I didn't mean to go this far back. Maybe I did actually. This wasn't as far back as I thought. So like here, I feel like the only thing that I'd say here is you seem to not really know where you want to position, right? Because like you come over here, and then like you and your tank seem to keep like swapping spots, like you're, and then like so you come over here, he kind of like came over here for a second, and then you come over here, and then your tank goes over here, and now you're coming over here. And granted, like holding the pulse bomb, sure, but then like instead of coming back to your team here, like you're just off on point by yourself. And if this tracer had not gone back over here, like maybe you saw that, but wouldn't assume that their tracer had left. Like if you get pushed off here, like then you're stuck in a 2v1, right? And then you're just hoping that your team backs up to you. Uh, Otherwise, I mean, if you stay here, right, like the only person it's a 3-on-1, while if you stay over here, these two are both holding this off angle on you. So like actually fading over here might have been better for you simply because you're on top of your team and like their tank is respawning. So you might have been able to be over here with your team is better. I mean, it depends on how the game plays out, right? But then when you're over there and your team starts taking damage now, you're not over here to help them, right? And so your soldier's critical, you're spraying. I don't know that this is actually close enough, I don't think, to actually hit him with your spray. So he pops his heal station. Um, you know, because like right around here would be the time, yeah, to you know, you could be backing up with your team, and you could still be healing them, and then like they'd probably be a little bit lower or higher on health if you had stayed over with them. I think that would be the only thing. Like, regardless, you guys lose this fight, right? Because the Tracer got 2 picks, you're down to a 3v5. All you could have really done with that better positioning is just like keep your team up slightly alive longer. And you know, the people will say like, oh, don't stagger, and staggering is bad, right? Except in this situation, you guys actually have the point. So every second that you stay alive on point, uh, is, you know, like you get more percentage towards, you know, obviously towards keeping it. So this is actually good that you're doing this, right? And then I would probably just, maybe you could like come in this room would probably be like the way to stay alive the longest, but even then their tracer's probably going to push you down. So I don't think this is actually really that bad. Like, you know, like I said, like you're going to lose, right? Like regardless, you're just trying to stay alive, and like if you stay with your team, you maybe have a few more seconds. Like it's not that big of a deal, right? Overall, I don't think your gameplay is like silver yet, unless there's something that's gonna happen later, right? Uh, Aside from that, like, is the only main thing that I think you're using your left like main healing too much, and then not having it when yeah, so you're just kind of like you're using your main healing a lot and then like running through it really quickly. This you don't really need to use your fade for, right? Like your Rhine's coming back to you, and then you end up kind of just running into their team. Like, granted, I feel like your Rhine probably should have just turned around and held his shield up when he saw that you were coming. But yeah, it's using your either way, what either one of those could have been, but. So at this point, yeah, just back out, which is good. Correct call here. But I'd keep backing out. If your Genji wants to be suicidal, he can be suicidal alone, right? Alright, so now that your tank's here, now is the time to actually be up here. Because your tank is like your front line, so you want to be up with your front line, right? Look to be probably taking care of these turrets the second that they like turn through as well. Okay, he's going around. I think this is good, right? Yep, and then good to back up. Just pummel down their, yeah, pummel down their tank as much as you can. Yeah, and I feel like you play most of this like your Rhine's just being over aggressive here, and just which is somewhat understandable. I think. I mean, except for I don't really know what he's pinning into. Like, you know, like he comes in here, makes the correct call, sees that, you know, everything's okay. They have a bunch of turrets all around here. Like, it's the correct call to come back around this way. But then, does he pin the? I'm trying to figure out a little more of what exactly all was going in this fight. They actually, like, this is, you know, this is just not a situation that he is able to dive into, because he's already half health, and this is just not really. Yeah, so I think he goes for someone, and then they go through the teleporter, and then he just kind of walks around onto. Yeah, this is like, you can't really help your tank, because I think their tank kind of takes advantage of the fact that he's over there, and then just uses her ult. I mean, again, aside from, I think you're losing your healing a little bit too generously, but that doesn't, again, like, this fight is what it is. Now, okay, this on the other hand, so the fight wasn't bad on your part, right? But now at this point, like at this point right here already, right? Like your team is very much lost. Like everybody has died, I think, aside from you. I think yeah, even your Genjis and Spawn. So everybody has died on your team aside from you. Like this is a time to just immediately get out or die. And you're just kind of like sitting here messing around trying to kill the Kiriko. That's not your job is to either live or like getting staggered here is really bad because now your team's coming back, right? Uh and they like trying to hit one final push and you could be coming in here trying to use like to touch with your team. I don't know that they're even going to be able to touch. They will. Okay. So the fight itself was pretty good play on your part. Like your tank just mostly got outplayed, but now because you decided to try to stay and fight this Kiriko and then lost, you just got staggered and now your team is forced to do a 3 or 4v5. Like I think you could have easily gotten out after Soldier died if you had just like faded right away or just ran away right away. You could have gotten back to your team and then yeah, that just would have like you could have been here having an impact on this last fight. See, I think the two really things I see are, I mean, uh, like I've said, the spray usage that you're just using it a lot too much, and then that's also keeping you from like dealing damage when you should be, and then and then it's just causing you to be too low on your healing spray when you need it, and then the stagger at the end that kept you from being a part of the last team fight. See how this one goes. Your tank switched to Zarya. I think everybody else is playing the same thing. Yeah. Soldier just walked into a wall. Um, I'm not sure why you faded here. Like I know they put a sim teleporter up there, but like you take one hit and then you fade away. Like you're right next to a wall here. So using your only escape ability to just like all you need to do when you see this teleporter up here is just like walk right here. Like one step to the right. So like using your fade ability, from what I think their tracer ends up then coming. Is it? Yeah, so their tracer ends up coming here then, and then you're an easy kill. So this as much as on you, right? Like this comes up here, like you take one shot, which is from here, and then instead of just walking to the right, and like taking the, like just walking out so they can't shoot you, you like the damage orb is fine. But then you fade away and use your escape ability. If you have this when the tracer comes for you, right? Like that's the tracers, like what tracers will be looking for is for a support to use, like whether Kiriko using teleport and Suzu or like a Moira using fade. Like those are the things that they look for on using sleep dart and think, okay, this is the time to pounce, right? So now you're here and the tracer sees, I mean, maybe they saw that, maybe they didn't, but regardless, like if you had fade, you could just fade to your team here, or even when you used your fade, like you could have backed up a little bit and then just, or like come over here, playing with your team, but you actually like separate yourself from your team with your own escape ability, and then you don't even turn to fight the tracer here for some reason. Like right here, you see she's doing it, and then you turn and you spray healing at her, but you don't try to damage her, and then you just like your team doesn't need to get healed here, right? So I think you're just healing a bit much, or maybe you're not sure what to do in this situation, but like you could at least turn around and try to like strafe back and forth and like damage the tracer and try to kill her. Alright, so now you want to back up, 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 back up. Good. Yep. Yep, just keep backing up, backing up. Go into fade into spawn. Don't fade back into their team, fade back into spawn. It's a good kill, but still, yeah. So this is, so like you realize it here, it feels like, and then like you see how their team is on top of you, right? This is not a place you want to be, so all you need to do is just shift, go back into spawn right here. They cannot kill you in here. Like, you are invincible. There's no reason to be sitting out here, both supports, trying to kill their tank, a support, a DPS, their other support, and their Tracer is also here. Like, their entire team is here, right? And then now you two are here, and all you need to do is just fade back into spawn, right? Like, that's, if you do that, you live. Like, you're literally invincible back there, and then just wait for your tank to come out. But because you actually put yourself, once again, you use your escape cooldown in order to engage, and like you know, you get one kill from it, but you probably could have just gotten that from spawn too. And now you're here. You threw you throw a damage orb into the ground towards your team. I'm not sure what this is. Like, they don't need a healing orb here either, so I'm not sure. Like, the damage orb should be going this way, right? Like, either down here or up towards the Baptiste if you're gonna throw a damage orb. They're all full health, so I don't think a damage orb would do a ton at the moment, anyways. Um, Probably being in here, like, as soon as you take damage, then it might be alright to throw a heal, like, probably throw a healing orb once you're taking damage here and realize, oh shit, they're shooting at me. You know, you could throw a healing orb towards your spawn and then walk towards your spawn too. But then, like, their Baptiste is already, like, Lucio and Genji is already killed, so you still want to be getting out because, like, you know, like, your team just, like, 3 of them died in your spawn, which is really, really bad because it's, like, over half your team just died, and when all your you know, your spawn is right here, like, all they need to do is play like your soldier is here and he's invincible. Like, they can't even hurt him. He could just stand still and they can't kill him, right? um so I think with a lot of your gameplay, I think you're better than Silver at certain points, and then, but this, you know, like, the last couple of fights, um like to start this point, all you've done is essentially die. I mean, you got their Tracer in all before dying in this one at least, but it's, you know, after you already had, like, how many people die on your team. So it's I think this is might be your problem here, and I think this is really funny because they haven't capped the point yet, and they don't realize it because they're too busy trapping you in your spawn. I just have to point that out. That I've been waiting for them, like, to someone to on their team to realize, like, they're not getting anything here. They don't have anybody that, like, went back to actually cap the point, so they're not getting any progress on winning the point. I just thought that much was funny because that's very much like Silver. No, that's honestly, like, not even. Um, like, that nobody, like, this whole time nobody's noticed on their team. But yeah, I think, like, a lot of your I think your stuff could definitely be playing in gold. um I think that it's stuff like this that maybe you're not noticing, because I definitely get the need of what you're wanting to do, of being like, yeah, I want to participate in the team fight, but you can participate in the team fight, um like Moira, you either, like, pretty much the two ways to play her are either you being, like, behind the tank, right? Like, letting your tank, like, absorb a lot of the damage and keeping your tank up while they do so, or, like, playing, like, you know, like, flank Moira and going here, which I don't prefer, because you actually have to really know how to play flank Moira. Just like, your positioning for it was, like, if your tank would have been out with you instead of you being out in the front, I think it would have been fine. Like, a lot of what you're doing, like, that's, like, really good Moira gameplay. You just need to know, like, where your team is at, where you're at, and where, you know, where the best place is to be. So yeah, this is good. Just, again, yeah, just with all of this, like, this is good right here, right? What you need to be careful of, and see how your Lucio's getting lit up because he's just up here, like for no reason in front of your tank, like there's no reason for him to be ahead of like 2 feet ahead of your tank. This is just making him a target and getting him blown up, and you're also kind of guilty of this a bit. Like I've is just at different times of you're not letting your tank go ahead and take space. And I know especially in like if you're used to higher ranks, you're used to probably your tank pushing in more since you were playing in plat. But you just have to get used to people are going to be like sometimes less aggressive, sometimes more aggressive, depends on, you know, and yeah, just keeping him up. Yep, you heal. So I think just again like just micro things with healing here, right? Like he's fine here, right? Like the rest of his health is going to completely heal on his own. Just switch back to start damaging at this point, right? You don't need to keep holding. And now you need your healing, right? I mean that was a good reaction, you know, with the pulse bomb going off to fade out and then fade back in, right? And then yeah, just heal your tank, heal your tank. Try and spray your Genji a little bit if you can, and then as soon as this comes off, you throw your healing orb. Good, good. See, like you got like a lot of like the timing of like, okay, this is when I need to throw my orb. This is when I need to heal. It's just sometimes you're healing too long. Sometimes you're damaging. Like overall, your mechanics I don't think are what keeping you in silver. And it can, like their tracer came all the way back from their spawn and still didn't realize that they haven't capped the point. This is like, you know, because realistically they would have this like probably 50% right now as long as they've been spawn camping you if they had just capped it right away, but they've been so greedy with this. And okay, like again, you fade in front of your tank here, right? Like just be patient, right? Don't use your escape ability to engage, especially if you're going to be going in front of your tank, because then this just makes you like a giant target. Also, you can't see that now like your soldier took a ton of damage, right? Because he went critical for like a second when he was behind you, and so but Lucio is somewhat healing him. But you are like the primary output, right? Because you're like your Lucio has really small amounts of healing. Um, yeah. So there's okay. You see the Kiriko behind. So this is right here. Like you hear her, right? You get the fade, which is great. But then instead of like fading out here where it's safe and she can't shoot you, like you're on 9 health, you automatic like 100% need to be back here, right? Uh, you fade here, which I like. There's not a whole ton of point, you know, of fading away from her and then fading, just coming out in like the same spot where she can shoot you again. So just should be coming over here because there's, I mean, this is free, right? Like she's not gonna turn this. If she tries to turn this corner, your soldier is going to be right here, right? But because you come back here, she just hits one shot and you're dead. Like that's all she needs to do. So this is another one where it's like a easily avoidable death right here, and then you spray your. But I'm not sure if you think this heals you, but only your biotic orb heals you. So I mean, you could try to damage, but again, like your best bet is to sit here, right, and let your passive healing kick in a little bit. If she tries to turn the corner on you, then you can like damage her, or just wait for your orb to come up, or just your soldier's just leaving. That's unfortunate because normally, like you know, if you ping her, like he would notice that. But regardless, right, you could have like actually tried to stay here and let your health regen, and then you would have actually stood a fight if she came around the corner and started damaging. But it seems like there's a lot of times where you just heal when you're looking at other people, and I'm not sure if that's you're hitting the wrong button or what's going on. So your team is actually the first one to cap the objective, which is interesting. They're still going right at this point. Yeah, you realize your Genji's dead. All right, cool. And you stay here. So this is the correct choice this time, right? And now that your tank is moving up, you can go up there and heal your tank. And you're AFK. Okay. Um, yeah, so I think like this doesn't end up playing too terribly, right? But right here, like you use your fade immediately before you've taken any damage whatsoever. Like you could just, you know, like walk behind the wall or whatever. But I'm not sure why you fade back here and then like, but now your tank goes and does the same thing, and now instead of you know, you just walk forward. And if you walked, like if you wanted to fade, then I'm not sure why. If you wanted to walk forward, I don't know why you just didn't just walk forward before, right? Because when it was their Kiriko who does normally less damage, you walked or you faded away. But then when the Reaper is here who does more damage, then you walked around. So, you know, if you had Fade right now, this would be a time that you want to have it when a Junker Queen is running up close and personal for you. And then she just walks off for no reason, like in higher elo. Like she comes in here, right? She doesn't swing her axe here. I don't know why you would swing your axe here, right? You're right on top of a support that has no escape abilities. She kills you like very quickly right here. Like there's no reason for her to back up, or maybe you get bubbled. That'd be the only reason I can think of that she would back there. So in which case it's gonna your tank for bubbling you. But so this is a time where you want to look to pop Coalescence, right? Because this is, I'm not sure when you got it, but I feel like you've been holding it for a little bit. Yeah, so this is not good. Because you see how like the fight is completely cleaned up, right? Like these two people are like a second away from dying. Like even with the Kiriko healing them, like your entire team is about to collapse on these two very low health people. Like you just keep right clicking on them, right? Or heal. So yeah, like you don't even do any damage with it, which it happens, right? You know, but that would have been a good time like earlier, either when you're pushing, it would be great to have it, or just save it for the next fight. You know, once the fight's already won. I think it's really good that you did that. Like the just like you got the instincts of stuff. Like okay, this is happening. I immediately like get out of there. Here, I would stay. Honestly, like at a time like this where like you're on top of their team, right? Using your escape ability to get off the point. If you don't get away, their entire team is here. So if you use your escape ability, right, and you don't get away, then like they take the point quicker. But if you stay on the objective and then just, you know, just walk into their tank or whatever, then at least you die on the objective, and you keep the objective. Like if they had the objective, right, then yeah, just, you know, try and get out whatever or die right away. But you have the objective. Like as long as you stand on there, your team continues to get progress. So maybe you do live here. In this case, it actually ends up fine. Alright, so you get out. So it ends up, uh, right, like it see outside of Silver, because like this is one of those like they completely see, not like they leave the point. You can see they stopped capping because their team just doesn't realize where the point is. In any other rank, like even gold, like people are going to realize this and like cap the objective immediately. So dying is just like, you know, but they actually end up like you still get progress, but that's like how much progress you would have gotten, you know, normally if you contested it. But you end up getting out so that you know it works. But it's something that, you know, just be mindful of when you're leaving, like how much staggering I guess you're doing. This is pretty good, right? Like as Moira, you don't really have any ability to deal with Reaper during doing that. Yep, throw your healing orb and then just damage. Yep. Yeah, I don't like. There's not really a ton of reason to leave here. I'm not sure why you entirely leaves Fade here, right? Like, just be playing like a little bit off here, and then you can be peeking out and like attacking this Kiriko and keeping your tank up, right? But you leave your tank here, she takes a ton of damage, you're not healing her, still not healing her, right? And then by the time you start to heal her, she's already dead. So I guess on this one, I'm not sure why you were coming over here. Maybe to try to get away from the rush, but you also need to like make sure that your tank, at least like if you're gonna come over here, then like turn around and start looking right away, right, to see like, okay, is my tank coming with me? Like make sure my tank's not taking too much damage. And this is one where, again, like the fight's already lost. Your entire team should die here, like on purpose. Just die so you don't stagger. Because like every single second that you guys are fighting here, right? Like your tank dies, and like your tank is dead, your soldier is dead, right? This is like at what point? Actually, let's see. Okay, so right here, right, your tank is dead, your soldier is dead, like your entire anytime team needs to die. They're at 63%. And every second that you spend on here, notice their clock is still going up because they're still in contest. So this is actually good for them that you guys aren't dying, because the longer that you're here, right, the longer you stay alive, the more progress they get. So now they get 72%, and they were at what, 63, I think. So that's like 9% that they just got on this for free. Because now your team, like your tank and your soldier, have to wait for all three of their teammates to respawn before they can push again. So these guys just got 9% for free because everybody was trying to finish the fight. So sometimes it's one of those, like in silver, like your teammates are probably going to do that regardless. But honestly, it's one of those points where I just stop healing my teammates and just, if you can't get out, then you die. It is what it is. I think this is alright. Your tank just isn't is way too aggressive on Ryan. And yeah, now you can be healing him and whatnot. Yeah, I think you did well, alright. It was just the Ryan wasn't playing that very well. And again, like you're kind of using all of your heals here. And then like in a situation like this, right, where like your whole team's pushing up, like you're now sitting back and just you throw a healing orb in, but you could be up here like damaging them, like trying to stagger these kills. Yeah, I'd probably wait to actually see them before. Now you're looking for the Reaper possibly ulting? No, he doesn't quite have ult yet. Yeah, there's the Reaper ult. He just got it. Alright. I mean, their Junker Queen just kind of carries this fight. Honestly, like it's one of those, you see this, yeah, you just like I think one of the biggest thing is your target priority. Like this Junker Queen is not the person you're gonna kill, right? Like if anything, go after this Kiriko because she's like Moira doesn't do a ton of damage, right? So since you can't heal any of your anti teammates, this person is gonna take you twice as long to kill as this person, right? So like any of their squishies are gonna be a lot quicker to kill because Moira has like a very slow DPS rate. So the odds of you killing your tank is just not gonna happen. Again, like you lose this fight regardless because like your entire team was antied. There wasn't any way to really help them, but so regardless, like you're not gonna win that fight, right? There's your entire team gets antied. You can't save them from being antied. It's you just try to kill people as much as you can, and even then, I mean, so was this game a game that you could have won? The first point, I don't think you would have regardless. But the second point, there was like, couple of fights where you just maybe I think maybe in three fights. The second point um that you definitely shouldn't have died, but you put yourself in bad positioning that I had mentioned. So there's definitely a lot that could be improved on that ways. I think mechanically, like a lot of times, um, you'll do the right things. Like there are some times where I think you do the right things, and there are some things that like I think you could just like your biggest thing I think is still just spraying a little bit too much sometimes, and then like trying when you do damage, then it's often like to the tank, and like unless the tank if the tank's getting focused, cool, but like otherwise, you're not gonna like solo kill a tank. Um, so biggest things are like the points where you staggered like after the first like the very end of the first round when you staggered because you were trying to get kills and then you weren't able to participate in the last game, and then there were like maybe 3 times where you died in the second one that your team was kind of playing without you, or you were just trying to fight outside of spawn and whatnot, and like I think that's kind of the telltale part of what would keep you from climbing is if you're getting to the point where you're staggering in certain scenarios. Like you can be playing well in some, which I think you definitely do play well in some, but in others you're um kind of at the point where like if you die at the start of a push, right, then your team has to kind of play without you, and especially when they have like the brig for their only healing, then that's not something that they're going to really be able to deal with. So that would be my biggest things is definitely realize when, and this is something that like a lot of people do around like silver and whatnot is but not even in just silver. I mean I in mid diamond right now, and there's still like we'll have times. I mean, even I have games right where I will think that a situation's winnable and it's not, and I end up wasting a bunch of time trying to win again. Like a 3v4 or or something like that, where it's like but then it doesn't end up working out, and then we just ended up wasting a bunch of time instead of regrouping right away. Um, but yeah, I think that was the real thing that I'm like I can see that being the thing that has like a really big impact on your games that will keep you at your rank. But that's also something that really easy to fix now that you see about it. Like just to keep that in your mind and be thinking, okay, like especially if your tank dies, that's generally a sign if your tank dies and that's the first death of a match, right? Or like of a fight, to just get out. And then also like if you're at a position where you're the first person to die in team fights, is that's also something that you want to look back and watch in your replay and be like, okay, was this my fault? Like, could I have done something? Did I use my escape ability, right, that then I could have used later and that would have gotten me out of it if I still had it? Or did I walk in somewhere that I shouldn't? Did I not follow my tank? Did I follow my tank too far? There's different things, and so I think those are the couple of things that if you fix that at least, I think like you could definitely like get back to gold. And then getting from plat there is getting more things. I guess uh, mechanics and whatnot, like just getting more value out of probably like damage and uh I guess figuring out how to stagger your healing in um a bit more. Like there are times when you need to hold it, and there's sometimes that you need to use it more. Just figure out more orb use and whatnot would be probably from there. But I think you're gonna find like a lot more success in your game if you just focused right now, like because you don't want to take too many things, right, and try to switch everything with your gameplay right now. Like just take a couple of things and really try to hone in on it. And I think for that it's really like the game sense of realizing like where is my tank, how like am I playing too aggressive in front of my tank, am I not near my tank, is my tank somewhere I can't reach, am I using my and then am I using fade when I need to, like to put me, is it putting me in dangerous situations, and am I not having it when I need it, or am I not using it when I need to get away from a situation, and um or am I using it in order to go to the wrong place, like with like the Kiriko, like looking at that situation and being like, yeah, I should, you could have easily just faded around to the wall, like instead of fading when you needed it, or when the tracer was with you, using fade when you didn't need it, when you weren't in danger really of dying, and could have just backed up, and then you could have had fade if you like, and then you could have escaped the tracer with it. So it's at times like that where like, you could have been there fighting with your team if you had used your abilities, like your fade. So I think fade usage would probably be the other thing to look at. So fade usage, and then um, positioning, fight awareness of where your tank is and where you are in regards to your tank would probably be the biggest thing, and then recognizing when fights are won or fights are lost, and whether you need whether you can get out of a situation and not stagger, or whether you can you can win a fight and should stay in it, or whether you can't win the fight but you can, you have like control of the objective or whatever, and you want to hold it and then just die on point, is also the other thing. So yeah, hopefully this helped. If you have any questions on it, or have some gameplay of other sports you want to look at or something, like, just let me know. And yeah, hopefully this was helpful. So.